So, Mark, tell me about what's been going on social media and the influences potentially at play. Also, I'm wondering, is this different from anywhere else in the world where there's, some tense politics?
Yeah, sure. So what we've seen on social media, and particularly Twitter, is hashtags that are trying to frame what's happening in Tunisia as exclusively a universal Tunisian movement against the Muslim Brotherhood. Except when we actually analyze these tweets, we see that the majority of those promoting this discourse are influencers based in Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, and that the majority of people using those hashtags are in those countries too, and also Egypt. So what this is telling us is that there is a clear attempt from those countries which have a co-opted Twitter space to actually frame the Tunisian political crisis as a popular movement against the Muslim Brotherhood. So what this is basically saying is that if we say that one party, in this case Ennahda, is Muslim Brotherhood, then it's okay and that justifies authoritarian rule. But the reality is that on Twitter, certainly, doesn't appear to be many Tunisians actually embracing this particular slogan.
Okay. Are they savvy? Because there's been such widespread social media use, including back in 2011, are people savvy to the fact that there's going to be outside influences that want a piece of the action?
I think a lot of people are savvy, but I think we have to bear in mind that was 10 years ago, and things change. And despite increased digital literacy around what's happening on social media and digital manipulation, people are still quite naive when it comes to how influence operations tend to work. So while some people are critical, I think there's plenty of people out there who don't necessarily appreciate the extent to which Arabic Twitter and Arabic social media is monopolized by a few actors based in the Gulf who have very high social media penetration rates. They have high numbers of users, and because of that, they can actually shape discourse across the Arabic language social media sphere.
So if a lot of these messages are coming from, like you said, Saudi Arabia or the UAE and trying to shape it in their own way, is there then a counter movement on social media trying to raise awareness to people so that they know where these messages are coming from?
I think that's the hard thing. There are definitely some people who are trying to tell people that certain narratives are being promoted by other states, such as this idea that all Tunisians are rising against the Brotherhood. There's obviously other people using hashtags that are Tunisians against the coup, that kind of thing. But I wouldn't say that there is a concerted political movement that's countering disinformation. There's actually plenty of little NGOs who specialize in that, but I wouldn't say it's a broad-based movement at this point.
Yeah, and that is the reality even in countries like the United States, where misinformation or veiled messages become rife. So what is the solution in Tunisia right now, or at least something that would help the situation, when so many people are confused, A, as to what is happening right now and what it means, and B, what's going to happen tomorrow?
I don't think there is a solution. This is part of the problem. I mean, when you talk about the information space, with social media, with the internet, you don't have sovereignty, you don't have control over the messages being exchanged. So the best thing that can be done is really to remind people to be critical when it comes to looking at what they read online, to be critical about hashtags and what they believe is trending. Because at the moment, a lot of those messages are simply serving to try and divide and polarize the population rather than unite them. So I think people need to remind themselves that whatever they read, the important thing is to actually remember to communicate with people, especially those that they might disagree with politically, and do so in a civilized manner.